Hello, I am James Lipton, and welcome to Inside the Actor's Studio. And I hate my life. But I do love Federico Fellini, who's with us today. Next to Kenneth Branagh, probably the greatest director of all time. Interesting. Now, one of my favorite movies of all time is La Dolce Vita. Did you have any problems while filming this movie with the actors, cinematography, or camera angles per se?
Back to your original question. Yeah, we had some problems, but I'm the man, so I fixed that. Let me tell you about something. Well, you see, our original place where we were going to film this film was Via Veneto. Beautiful place out on the countryside. Fell through the roof. So we ended up having to make our own set. Ended up costing us about an extra 50% of the original budget, tagged on to the end, 150%.
You're good with numbers.
I can't lie. Now, another problem that I had was, to get the right feel from some of my actresses, I had to stand behind the camera and do dances like this.
You move so gracefully.
Try and keep them from laughing. Like you, Laffy Taffy. They try so hard to keep from laughing that it gives them the serious role that I want. And when I have that role, that's when I got a great film.
You did these dances for the sex-crazed Madalena, is that correct?
Yeah. Now, another problem. We had about 800 extras in this film.
800?
Dealing with extras is like dealing with fourth graders at recess. Ain't no fun. Ain't no thing but a chicken wing from Felini, though. Now, another problem that we had filming was, I had trouble making up my mind about what I wanted to do here, what I wanted to do there, what I wanted to do in the middle. So once I did, I just did all of it. End of the movie, that script looked like an Italian phone. It was a phone book, Got all them up there, A to Z. About 10 hours of actual film I could have used on the movie. I used 3, because I'm sweet.
Tree?
Tree. Because I'm sweet like that, I condense it, I make it magic. It don't work the first time, I go back, I make it again, That's just how we do. I fix things. I break them, then I fix them. Brevity is the soul of wit. 3 from 10. That's what I'm talking about.
Now this film started its own vocabulary. Would you care to elaborate?
Paparazzi. I made that up. Everybody using that nowadays. Man. Princess Diana got killed by the paparazzi. I didn't intend for that to happen. So what? Am I a bad guy now again, huh? What? What's that you claiming, Laffy Taffy?
In La Dolce Vita, what was your overall purpose / meaning you were trying to get across to the public?
You see, Laffy Taffy, my film embraces many meanings. I didn't really have any set goals going out into this, I basically let the film come to me. I didn't try and force anything, make any type of message. That's what people ain't getting. They trying to say, you doing this, You doing that, Felini. You a bad guy, Felini. You a good guy, Felini. No. None of the above, man. I'm just Fellini, the director, the man. I am not a man who dashes off messages. I don't have a very precise ideology. When you describe your epoch, no matter how impartially, you notice that there are emergencies, events, attitudes that strike you more than certain others do, and that are more important altogether. So you unconsciously become a moralist. If the Dolce Vita has a meaning, it came by itself. I didn't go after it. Next question, Laffy Taffy.
In this movie, La Dolce Vita, the end mirrors the beginning very similarly in the symbols of Christianity. Could you please elaborate or explain these and if they were meant?
That's a good question. Now, the opening scene of the movie, probably one of my favorite scenes from the film. Let's have a look. Now, here we have the statue of Jesus hanging from the helicopter flying over the city. Many people think this is anti-Catholic. Many people think it is pro-Catholic and that Jesus is embracing the city. I'm not going to tell you, because I'm Felini. I want you to make up your mind. Explore into your sensitivity. Now, the ending scene in the movie, another one of my favorites, we meet Marcello and the guests as they're leaving the party of debauchery with all the stripping and nonsense going on. They walk out through the trees, the foliage, onto the beach, and they see a fisherman. And this fisherman has caught a fish, a very large, ugly fish. Everyone is wrapped up in this fish. And then we see Marcello walk away from the fish, looking across the banks to the girl that he met earlier in the film while he was striving to become an artist. Lived a good life. Now, the little girl across the bank reminds me of one of the little angels in the church of Umbria. Marcello can't hear what she's saying. Turns back toward the fish. The bad life. Not the Dolce Vita. Not the sweet life.
Now we have quite the gift for you today, as we have brought one of your finest and personal favorite actors.
Who?
Marcello.
Where you at?
Where you at? Dog, he is right here. How about you rip the green screen down?
I'm sorry.
Yes,
Sorry.
good.
Marcello! Paparazzi! Ah, you look wonderful. Grazie, grazie.
Prego.
Where do I sit?
Have a seat on Jimmy's lap. Jimmy, scoot over.
I'm not sitting on his lap.
Scoot over. Scoot
I'll
over.
sit by him.
Man, scoot over.
Scooching dog.
I shoot you in the teeth. That's just what I do, man.
The actor studio
There's a
is
teeth
quite crowded
and-
tonight. The actor studio is quite crowded.
You're
tonight.
not prepared for this. Now, Marcello, if you had to pick a scene from La Dolce Vita, which would you say was your absolute favorite from the movie?
Well, James, La Dolce Vita is a very excellent movie. There are many scenes that I enjoyed immensely, but one specific scene that I would have to pick out of this incredibly emotional movie, filled with meaning, filled with just thoughtful insight would have to be the first scene, in which I am in the car with Madalena. And just the sheer emotional aspects of this conversation. Just play the scene.
Cosa ti ho fatto io per essere trattato in questo modo? Neanche un cane si fa soffrire così. Chi credi di essere? Se tu mi volessi bene, la metà di quanto te ne voglio io, allora capiresti qualcosa.
Sì.
Tu non puoi capire, perché non vuoi bene a nessuno.
Non
Non
strillare.
sai neanche immaginare cosa vuol dire voler bene a qualcuno.
Lo sai tu, lo
Sei
sai,
un
vero?
egoista. Ecco cosa sei. Hai il cuore chiuso, vuoto. La sola cosa che ti interessa sono le donne. E credi che questo sia amore.
Sì, lo so, sono 4 ore che me lo stai ripetendo, io non ne posso più.
Non è
Voglio andare
vero
a
che tutti gli uomini
casa.
sono come te. Ci sono degli uomini che sono felici quando trovano qualcuno che gli vuole bene e non vanno in giro a cercare altre donne. Sei tu, solo tu che sei così. È una disgrazia, una disgrazia.
Ma io sono un disgraziato e la mia disgrazia è di aver incontrato te. Hai capito? Non ne posso più di averti vicino. Vattene via. Ma vattene una volta per sempre, vattene. Dove vai, stupida? Vieni qua.
No! Lasciami stare! Lasciami vivere!
Emma! Cammina, deficiente, monta.
No!
Ma guarda che... Cammina, sali.
Ma che cosa vuoi? Che cosa cerchi da me? Sei un verme, un miserabile. Tu finirai solo come un cane. Te ne accorgerai. Ma chi ti sta vicino a te se io ti lascio? Ma che farai della tua vita? Chi trovi che ti vuol bene così?
Io non posso passare la mia vita a voler bene a te.
Tu dici sempre che sono io la pazza, che vivo come in sogno, che sono fuori dalla realtà. Ma sei tu che sei fuori strada. Ma non capisci che la cosa più importante della vita tu l'hai già trovata. Una donna che ti vuol bene sul serio, che darebbe la sua vita per te come se fossi l'unico al mondo. Tu sciupi tutto. Sei sempre inquieto, sempre scontento. Marcello, quando due persone si vogliono bene, tutto il resto non conta. Di che cosa vuoi aver paura?
Di te, del tuo egoismo, dello squallore desolante dei tuoi ideali. Non lo vedi che quello che mi proponi è una vita da lombrico? Non sai parlare d'altro che di cucina e di camere da letto. Ma un uomo che accetta di vivere così, lo capisci che è un uomo finito? È veramente un verme! Io non ci credo a questo tuo amore aggressivo, vischioso, materno! Non lo voglio, non mi serve! Questo non è amore, è abbrutimento! Come te lo devo dire che non posso vivere così? Che non ci voglio più stare con te? Voglio star solo! Scendi da questa macchina!
No! Sei una carogna, un vigliacco! Mi fai proprio una gran pena!
Va bene, io ti faccio pena e tu mi fai schifo! Scendi!
No, non me ne vado. Io sto con te.
No, Emma, tu non ci stai più con me. Scendi.
No!
Scendi dalla macchina, Emma.
No, non
Scendi dalla macchina!
Marcello, non scendi!
È finita, lo vuoi che... È finita! Vattene! Vai via!
Ecco cosa sei, un delinquente! Mascalzone! Ti maledico!
Non vedere più. Fatti caricare da un camionista!
Vai con le tue puttane!
Now, La Dolce Vita marked the turning point in your career from the neo-realist movies namely La Strada, to the visionary, dreamlike almost movies such as 8.5, one of my personal favorites. Welcome back to Inside the Actor's Studio. We're here with guest Federico Fellini. Federico, 8.5. How did you come up with that title?
Well, you see, Laffy Taffy. 8, because it's my eighth film, you know. And then half, because it's really my 8.5 film, because I count the short film that I made before as a half a film. So it's my 8.5 film. You know, maybe I write another script for a short film, make another one, then that movie might be called 9.
So, what was your inspiration for making a film about a director who does not want to make a film?
See, when I was making 8.5, the pressures were immense. Everybody coming up to me when I'm writing the script, they're like, "Yo, Felini, when this movie gonna drop? Felini, can I get in on this, man? Felini, what's your daddy's first name?" Man, I don't want to answer all those questions before I make the film. You know, I'm a busy man. You know, and so in the process of all this, I'm just getting caught up in everything, you know, and putting the set together, doing everything that needs to be done for making a movie. You know, I'm starting to get older. I feel like, you know, this ain't the place, this ain't the time. So I want to stop making this movie altogether until my cast and crew convince me to do otherwise. So I'm sitting there and thinking to myself, man, Felini, you should probably make a movie about this.
So you could say this movie is very autobiographical.
Yeah, I guess you could say it's a little bit autobiographical. I mean, I basically took my situation, which was me aging and being in this situation that I just explained to you, and I put Guido into that position. Now, there's a part of me that will always linger inside of Guido, like a man hanging on the edge of a cliff, ready to fall into action, but not yet ready to live.
What does all that nonsense you just said mean?
It means that I had a severe case of director's block. Notice how I took that from writer's block. And this was just my way of working through it. I didn't plan for it, it just happened.
Now, what are the major themes in your life that you try to portray in this movie?
Alright. The first theme I already talked about a little bit, and that's the fear of aging. Time of this film, a lot of people say I was in my prime. While I was making it, you know, I felt like I was getting old, out of touch with myself. I was 40 still. That really didn't seem to matter. You know, I felt the older I got, the more my creativity would fall away from me. So that would have to be the one major theme of the movie, is the fear of aging. Another theme of the movie is probably the tyranny of the mind. And I would have to say that this one is the one that is most portrayed by Guido, who will at times fall off into dreamlike situations and then for short times come back to reality. You know, and all this time, Guido doesn't really have control over these situations. His mind, being as tyrannical as it is, like the Tyrannosaurus Rex, takes him to many places against his will, but not necessarily in a malicious way. Now, a third theme of this movie, let's say, I guess we could call it the frivolity of society. And I try to embed a lot of that in La Dolce Vita too. You know, it's mostly satirical toward the upper classes, the bourgeois of the society. And you'll basically notice that in a few different instances in my film. I mean, it's quite evident throughout it, but a lot of it is also hidden and hard to pick up on. You gotta be witty like Fellini to catch it, you know? Especially if you don't speak Italian and you don't got any subtitles.
Now in this movie, you used an interesting perspective using Guido's thoughts. Could you elaborate on why you did that?
Now you see, Laffy Taffy, the reason why I was so preoccupied with Guido's thoughts is that I really wanted to capture the essence of his character. You know, this movie was about me, in a sense, as we talked about before. So as Guido being me, I really wanted to get his thoughts across so I could, in essence, put my own thoughts in the movie. And this was really the first time that this had ever been done before in this scale of movie. And I guarantee you, you're going to see it in the future.
Now, one of my favorite scenes from 8.5 would have to be the beginning scene. Could you explain the different meanings and subtleties that take place, if you will?
Avvocato, l'ho preso. Ehi! Giù! Vieni giù! Giù definitivamente.
Ci scusi per l'invasione così mattutina. Come sta? Io sono un suo grande ammiratore, mi fa molto piacere conoscerla. Permette?
La posso adoprare la...
Basically, when I came up with this scene, I wanted to set a tone for the movie. And by opening up with a dream sequence, like the one that I did, I thought that I'd, set the tone of not being able to tell the difference between the dream state and reality very well. Putting you in a dream state before I give you an actual idea of what's really going on in the movie gives me that setting that I need for the movie.
Now, this was one of your first almost completely surrealistic films. Could you elaborate on this?
Now, of course, the dream sequences in this movie are obviously surrealistic. However, what a lot of people sometimes overlook is the fact that even the reality sequences are surrealistic at points. Such as, the orchestra at the health spa, the Asa Nisi Masa, what was said to Guido. And then, of course, you also have the fact that almost all the reality that Guido goes through complements the dream state.
What up, James? What up?
Marcello, you're back.
I'm back. We can take a break now.
Alright, then we'll go use the facilities. Italy, we hug.
So, Marcello, tell me some more about this film, 8.5.
There are various symbols you could say in this movie that represent different things. The first thing I would like to talk about, of course, is female sensuality. All of the women in this movie, well, Guido is attracted to every single woman that he meets. Yet he feels guilty about this because he feels that he should not have such extramarital interests. So this becomes a problem. And if you look at the movie, you can see that every single woman that he meets has some sort of sensual attraction. These attractions range from blonde hair, a tempting voice, luscious thighs, or, I don't know, sensual hips. Those are other various aspects of this female sensuality. Another motif in this movie would be the professional stress that Guido goes through. We can see that he simply cannot escape from his job. This is seen in the opening scene when we clearly see him in the dreamlike state where he's flying above the sky. But in the end, he is going to be yanked down by his fellow members of the movie business. They yank him down from the sky as he's in a happy, joyous, almost childlike state flying through the clouds. This professional stress is also seen immediately after the dream, when Guido is seen getting examined by a physician. He decides to take a break and break away from his physician and Domir and decides to go to the restroom. In the restroom, Guido is alone and peaceful for a small instance, but this all immediately changes when the fact happens is that there's a telephone in the restroom that rings, that ties him to his professional stress once again. Catholicism is another important thing that pervades through Guido's entire life and also through the portion of his life that is depicted in the movie. At the beginning of his life, when he is at his sexual prime and where he's undergoing puberty and various other problems, we can see that Guido feels that Catholicism and all of the aspects that go along with Catholicism simply do not allow him to fully use his libido. But later in his life, as we see in the movie in the first dreamlike sequence, it so happens that Guido comes in to admire the Catholic religion, in which he sees the cardinal and some of the cardinal's devotees in the elevator, and this causes Guido to start to want to learn more about his Catholic religion. The final motif that we will look at when looking at the movie 8.5 would be the symbol of the rope. The rope is something that ties Guido down to his job and to his stressful life. In the beginning dreamlike sequence, he seems very happy and joyous as he is floating through the clouds. But at the end of the sequence, the rope pulls him down, and his fellow employees pull him down and bring him back to his original life. However, in the end, we see that this rope also serves as a form of Guido's expression and Guido's freedom when he imagines that this rope is what is being used to hang Domir. So in many ways, the rope serves as a function of pulling Guido down and also setting Guido free.
Now we shall go to an accredited movie critic who shall explore the different aspects of the movies and discuss and give his personal opinions.
La Dolce Vita gives a perspective into the life of the main actor, Marcello. Marcello is a celebrity journalist, or a paparazzi, you might say. Now, Marcello wants to change. He wants to become more of a artiste in his writing. But throughout the movie, he learns in the end that being a paparazzi is easier and money's good. The next movie, 8.5, also gives perspective into the life of a director named Guido. Throughout the movie, Guido experiences a number of trials and tribulations, overcoming his director's block. The Dolce Vita marked the turning point in Fellini's career, where he switched from creating neorealistic movies to surrealistic movies. However, in both 8.5 and La Dolce Vita, both of his themes remain complex and real. Both movies, La Dolce Vita and 8.5, present realistic portrayals of someone's life in the entertainment industry. However, they portray these differently. In La Dolce Vita, it's marked through Marcello's real life expectations, whereas 8.5 is marked through Guido's completely introspective views of his thoughts and his dreams. And 8.5 was also a type of therapy for Fellini because it corresponded with his own life. However, both movies deal with stress in the entertainment industry, and both have the theme that love is dangerous because it can hamper or destroy one's artistic or creative thinking. However, love still prevails in the end.